Hi, welcome to Love in the Morning, a room for grief. Today I want to talk a little bit about our grieving brain. Now, here's the thing is each one of us will experience a loss and our grief uniquely. It's directly related to the relationship, the intensity of the relationship, the love that we had in that relationship, and also how we express our feelings, our emotions, our love as unique human beings. Some of us are very demonstrative, and other people are much more reserved. So, how you grieve is really unique to you. And there's no right way or wrong way to do it. It's your way. And I've said this many times, you are the expert in your own grieving story. So I want to talk a little bit about grief and the grieving brain. Now, grief affects the brain kind of like trauma. Grief isn't just emotional, it's neurological. And the brain registers this loss as a threat to safety and stability. It often affects our fear center. Which can lead to heightened anxiety, emotional flooding, and even physical symptoms like heart palpitations and stomach upset. Some people feel numb, others feel overwhelmed, and just know that both responses are valid. So if you're finding that your anxiety has increased and that your emotions are all over the place, that's your grief talking to you. That's your brain trying to make sense of this loss that you've experienced. Cognitive fog is a real thing. Grief can impair memory, concentration, and even decision making. I can remember shortly after John died having to make a decision about whether or not to keep all the trees in the backyard where some were dying and I knew that the other ones were going to die. Do I take them all out now, or do I leave them, keep some? And I was frozen actually in that decision, and I was actually kind of angry in the moment. Like we had talked about it, but we were planning on discussing it more and taking action the summer after he died. So I was left to make the decision, and my decision that I made, which I believe was the right one, was I took out all the trees. But it was a really hard thing. And, you can find that your brain is just so overloaded trying to process the pain and the new realities that are hitting you. You might forget appointments. You might feel like everything is moving in slow motion. While others might feel this overfunction, like they're going to just do so much. They're doing so many things to try to distract ourselves. Now, just know that if you feel foggy and you're really having a hard time making decisions or remembering things, you end up in the pantry, or you're downstairs and you have no idea why you're there. Your brain is on overload trying to process the emotional pain. Grief is relational, not just emotional. The intensity of our grief mirrors the depth of the relationship. It's not just about how long we've known someone, it's how deeply you've loved them and what role they had in your life. One person may grieve quietly, and another person may have an outward expression. Both reflect love, it's just differently. How you grieve reflects who you are and how you are, and also a lot of things that we've been taught. Some of us have been taught to hide our grief. Some of us have been taught to grieve alone, and some of us have been taught that it's okay to grieve openly. Wherever you are, your grief wants your attention, and it will demand your attention, and it's going to demand it like a child. They'll either get your attention in a good way or maybe what some would consider negative. If your grief is knocking on your heart and you feel that lump in your throat and your ears are starting to burn and the anxiety is rising, if you can give yourself a moment where you can drop your shoulders, unclench your jaw, take a breath, and if you can take a moment and get curious so that you get clarity on what is activating this moment, you can work through and move on to the next feeling. Keeping it stuffed down is not going to help you because it accumulates, and it can be accumulating this negative response in your body where you get those big bursts of emotion and you think, where did that come from? Something that never would have bothered you before is bothering you a lot now. Your nerve endings feel raw and you don't have the capacity that you had before. Do not judge yourself too harshly. Like I said, your brain is trying to process this emotional pain in your new reality. Now, there's no single grief response because grief can look like tears or silence, exhaustion or restlessness, anger or deep longing. The grieving brain and the body respond in ways shaped by our personality, our upbringing, our support systems, the meaning of loss. Your grief may not look like someone else's, and that is okay. Our grief is unique to our relationships, to who we are as people. So it's really difficult to get a roadmap for this journey you're on. We can learn from other people, we can have open discussions, and we can learn that our grief is a natural response to the loss of someone or something that was significant in our life, that we loved so much. There's nothing wrong with us. Our hearts are broken. We're grieving. It is a natural part of life and loss. Now, grief seeks expression. The brain tries to make sense of loss by telling the story over and over. When we suppress grief, it can surface through irritability, detachment, or even physical illness. Just like I was saying, it's going to come out in what some would call a negative response. And some of us find healing in talking, writing, creating, and others find it in solitude, in prayer, or movement. There is no wrong way to grieve. Your grief is an expression. It is our last expression of love. It is so important to allow your grief to be a part of your story. There's no shame in the grief you feel. There is no shame in the love you feel. There's no shame in your story. If you need support, are looking for a way to work through and process your own pain, never forgetting, never letting go, you're walking with your grief, please, you can go to my website, www.kathypowell.ca, and you will find some services that I provide. Grief education, using the grief recovery method. It is a recovery from the pain. We don't recover from grief, we learn to walk with it. And also a program that I developed from my own book, The Hardest Not the Worst Year, A Widow's Journey, Unpacking Your Own Story of Loss. These are programs where you get to work through some things that you haven't been able to, you didn't have the words for. It helps you walk through your own unique story of loss, being heard, not judged, sat with, listened to, and loved on. Thank you so much. I hope this has been helpful. And if you are needing some more information, please go to my Instagram. It is A Room for Grief, Facebook, or here. There's many, many little videos that can help you in your journey. And if you have any questions, please feel free to email me at hello@kathypowell.ca. Have yourself the day that your heart deserves.